this pretest. It's okay if you don't know anything, we're just gonna see how your learning changes over time. When you're done, bring it on up here and put it in the folder, please. Welcome back. Nice to see you. Thank you so much. In my class, I don't have a phone. You can put it on the cell phone tower, and I'll keep it safe. Yep. Again, I'm good. All right, while we have a couple people that are wrapping it up, we talked about what we think weather is. We started a conversation by saying we think weather is very short term. Weather can go ahead and affect an area's environment. We gave examples of weather and said weather is like rain or snow. Rain, snow, sleet. What do we call that? That stuff that comes out of the sky.
Precipitation.
Precipitation. Those are all examples of precipitation. And then we said also weather can be hot or cold. What do we call that? Temperature. So it's the temperature. All of these things happen where? Sky. And what do we call that? Which sphere? The atmosphere. So weather is a condition of the atmosphere. What I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and hand these out. Please don't do that, George. If that's going to distract you, throw it away. I want you to look at these national forecasts. I'm giving one per team. And I want you to look at these maps that are like this. And we're going to go ahead and see what can you learn about this. What are the symbols telling us? What do we know by looking at these maps? Look at the maps with your partner. What is it that you can learn about these maps? Tell by looking at these maps. What can you tell about that? What do you think? A lot of storms? I hear a lot of people talking about heat waves. How do you know what the temperature is on these maps? There's a scale? There's a color-coded scale. So there's a color-coded scale down here that lets you see where the different temperatures are. All right, what else can we tell by this map? We can tell the air pressure. Okay, how do we know that? Low and high. It gives us an L and an H. Low air pressure means that if you think about the air around you, Allie, if you think about the air around you, low air pressure means the air is rising off of you, so it's not pressing down. High air pressure means the air is falling on you, creating high pressure down on you. So high pressure, think about the air pressing down on you, that's high pressure. Low pressure is air rising. So with your pair-share partners, see if you can make a connection between low pressure and high pressure just by looking at this map. Go ahead and look at that and see if you can figure it out. What kind of weather is associated with low pressure? What kind of weather might be associated with high pressure? Look where the L's and the H's are.
Big Y.
What?
L means
Stop yelling at me. All right, 3, 2, 1, and we are done. Where do we find areas of warmer temperatures? In the middle? Near the equator. Which states are by the equator? Texas, Florida. California kind of runs up, but I would say yes, the southern part of California. So by the equator, as we go further south, looks like we have warmer temperatures. As we go further north, it looks like there's cooler temperatures. What's this big state right here that they put down here? Does Alaska really belong there? No, Alaska goes way up here. So if we look at the temperatures, we can see that as we go higher north in Alaska, which should be up in this general area, it's going to get cooler and cooler. So the more north we go, the cooler it is. What about these things? What are these? They're fronts. Okay, they're fronts. Notice that there's either pointy or rounded. The flags, whether they're pointed or rounded, show the direction that that air is moving. What are the pointy flags showing us? That's a cold front. That means we have a cold amount of air and it's moving in this direction. So the flags point the way it's moving. The rounded, bumpy ones are warm air masses, and they are moving, this warm mass is moving in this direction. What do we notice up here on the board that we have going on? We have what? It's stationary. We have a warm mass of air going in this direction and a cold mass of air coming in this direction. And so when the cold and the warm come together, we're going to kind of see what happens in that area. What other things can we learn about this? Why here do we have red because it's warm and blue because it's cold, but why do you think the flags, why not have them all pointy and just have them red and blue? Colorblind people, if you'll notice on these little maps, you can't tell color on this by those fronts. And so they're able to show, right, that warm is this symbol and cold is that. You're going to have a lot of symbols that we're going to be dealing with when we look at weather. All right. So what we're going to do now is I want everybody to pass those forward, please, to the lovely ladies in the front. And we are going to now look at the graphing weather data. So when you get those passed forward, please get out your graphing weather data. Honey. You have a lot more coming
There's
up.
no temperature that I would describe them as.
If you could just kind of stack them together neat for me, I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, we're going to look at this. Can everybody please get this paper out? Because when we graph weather, it's all about trying to predict what's going to be happening. I need to know before I leave the house, do I need an umbrella? Do I need a rain jacket? Right? In my closet, I need to know, am I going to wear a pair of shorts today? I need to know, should I put a sweater on? And that is all driven by weather. Weather is often a topic of conversation. We want to know what to wear, where we can go, and what we can do when we get there. Imagine if you took a ski trip in the summer. Would you do that? Probably not. Would anybody go to a trip in the amusement park? Would you go to, what's our amusement park? What is it called? It's in Altoona? Adventureland. Would anybody go to Adventureland right now? No, it's closed. Why do they close it now? Because it's cold. You're not going to go to the Adventureland amusement park in the middle of winter in Iowa. Many scientists are studying the long-term weather patterns that we call climate. In this activity, you're going to monitor short-term changes that we call weather. You will compare different weather factors such as temperature and air pressure to see if you can discover how or if they're related. So what we're going to do is each day we're going to start out by looking at AccuWeather. And I put the link right here and I'll put that on Canvas so that if you're absent you can go ahead and write down what it is that we're going to be tracking. What I want you to do right now is I'm going to pull this open hopefully. Oh, you're great. There it is. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to look, this is where we are right now. And the first box that we're going to fill in is air pressure. And air pressure is always filled in with inches. And this is right now 30.06 inches. You don't have to put the inches, but please write down 30.06 in that first box that says air pressure. Let's pick up your pencil, man. We're on this right here. And we're filling out this first box that says air pressure on day 1. And here's your air pressure right here, bud. 30.06. All right. The next box we're looking for is temperature. What's the temperature today? 37. Do we think that'll change by my afternoon classes? Probably, but we're always going to check it at the same time. So 37 degrees Fahrenheit is the temperature right now. What's our wind speed? Yeah. So we've got 14 miles per hour. Please put the S there. That means it's coming out of the south. Wind is always where it's coming from. All right, we have relative humidity. What's our humidity? We're going to look at outside humidity. What's the relative humidity outside right now? 44%. And I don't know if they're tracking relative humidity or just humidity, but write down 44% there. We're going to go ahead and do a relative humidity lab hopefully next week. Cloud cover. What do we have for cloud cover today? Yeah, 10% cloud cover. Which means that if you were to look at the sky, about 10% of it is going to be filled with clouds. And then the forecast. What's the forecast for today? Sunny. They're planning on today having it be sunny. Cooper, will you help Ravel so he can get that information? And then tomorrow what we're going to do is we're going to come on in and we're going to do the same thing. Every day we're going to go ahead and then after 5 days we're going to graph our data and see if we can find any patterns. Cloud ceiling, that just means that's how high up the clouds are. We don't have any low clouds. Visibility, north of Iowa, we can see about 10 miles. It's a clear day. Good? So every day we'll do that. We'll start seeing if we can see patterns. All right. The next thing that we're going to do, did you get all those, bud? The last one for, what's the last one? It's sunny. All right, the next thing that we're going to go ahead and look at, I want to make sure that I'm getting this weather maps. Okay, we're going to do elements of weather. So your next sheet of paper that you should have in front of you would be your elements of weather. I don't like that they call them elements of weather. I would much prefer if they would call it components of weather, but whatever. Elements of weather. Meteorologists record and forecast the weather so that we can keep track of changing weather conditions and prepare for any extreme weather that is coming. What extreme weather do we have to deal with in Iowa that we're really well known for? Tornadoes. We're in what's called Tornado Alley. Has anyone ever heard of Tornado Alley? We're in that. We are in Tornado Alley. Tornado Alley goes all the way from the panhandle of Texas, around Louisiana, and it goes straight up all the way to Canada. It's Tornado Alley. And it is one of the most famous places in the world to come and study tornadoes. We have a very special interaction between warm and cold air, moist and dry air, and mountainous regions, where we just get this beautiful alley where tornadoes form. Now, our tornado season happens when?
Spring.
Springtime. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, around Texas, their tornadoes happen January, February. Then we get ours in spring, around April, May. Up towards Canada, they get their tornadoes towards the middle to end of summer. So there's got to be something happening that allows the tornadoes to happen in that area, but not all happen at the same time. And hopefully we're going to learn about what that is. All right. Below are 6 basic elements or components of weather that help us accurately predict the weather. It's important to know, how many of you ever check the weather in the morning? I do. I check the weather all the time, right? Especially in Iowa, I'm like, okay, where's the storm coming? I want to see those clouds and whatnot. You are going to, at each one of the tables, find a card, except for table 7. I'm going to put you in 6 groups, and you're going to write down what that element is. If there's a definition, there should be a definition for each one of the elements, like air pressure, temperature. You're going to write that down here. If they give you an instrument that is used to measure air pressure, temperature, humidity, write that down here. You might have some blank spots. We're going to come together and we're going to go through a PowerPoint to try to fill in any of your blank spots. And then, why is it important that we know what the temperature is? Why is it important that we know what the air pressure is? That goes right here. Does anybody have any current questions about what it is you're doing? Okay, I'm going to break you into 6 groups. Those of you that are number 1, where will you start? On table 1. And it shouldn't take you more than 3 minutes, and then I'll say, okay, let's move to the next station. But please don't move the stations until I say move, otherwise we're going to have clusters of people, and it's just going to be chaos. So, Jesus, you're number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Call in your 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to get your piece of paper. May I touch this? Your piece of paper looks like this. There's nothing written on the back, so we're just going to do the 6 stations on the front. I'm going to give you 3 minutes per station. Then I'll say switch. After that, we will come on back and we'll fill in any blanks that we're missing. Those of you that are at home, if you want to fast forward until we meet again, you can do that. Push your chairs in, y'all, so that it's easier to get around. My beautiful, beautiful people. Easy peasy, we're just getting some basic We have about 1 minute, and then we'll move to our next station. When we move, my ones are gonna go to twos, and my sixes are gonna go all the way to my ones. Please just be careful of the camera. About 1 more minute. Don't forget, it's important to write this down so that you can use this for your exam. We're gonna have a very short, it's gonna be like 1.5 to just 2 weeks of weather. We're gonna hop on into climate. It's a good time to talk about climate, and great time to talk about weather because it is almost springtime. Has anybody seen the robins? The little birds? Whenever you see robins, what does that mean? Spring is coming. Did anybody see my puppy last time I brought it in? Yeah, she's no longer calm. She's a little hellion. Should have named her Zion. You're a little hellion. All right, let's go ahead and move to the next station, please. Hey, could you move that a little bit closer so it's in the middle of the table so that Hudson can see it? There you go. Thank you so much. There might be some blanks, right? Might not have the instrument used to measure. Who's got wind speed? Let me get a tool for that. Do they have the tool for wind speed? Or, yeah? Do they call it an anemometer? An anemometer. Why do you think one of them's red? How? Yeah, and so when it's going around, you count how fast it's going in a certain amount of time, and so you're able to count that red one. Very well done. All right, we've got about 55 seconds. Do we need that last 55 seconds? All right, move to the next station. That's just a random gauge there. temperature. What station is that? What's that thing up there? Thermometer. Kaylin, what's the station that you're at? Some of these don't have a lot of information. Well, how much more time do we need? I keep throwing away around here cultural misinterpretations, misconceptions. That is a terrible misconception. That's terrible. What is this one? Who's got air pressure? It's the All right, let's move to our next station. Oh, it's not finished. Who got air pressure again? No, it's, what is air pressure? Because it's temperature. If it's colder than things go. I'm not kidding. They're cool. So this is rate, that's pressure. The middle one, wind speed. This one is humidity. George, what's that table that you're at? All right, say that about 5 more times. How are we doing? Switch to the next station. also probably something better to read temperature on the wall. Says it's around 65 or 70 here. And when we switch, can someone grab William's paper? How are we doing on time? Do we need some more time? Some of our ecosystems are drying out. All right, let's move to our last station, please. Hey, William, when you go to that last station, come grab me. When you are finished with that last station, I know some people aren't, when you are finished, come on back and I'll open up a PowerPoint. We're gonna go ahead and talk about these stations for you.
Use this, please. So then you want to know how to do it. Sam, you also. You, no. Or application to I can help you. Explain. Now. Return to.
Take your time, we got time. So weather forecasting is when you make a scientific prediction. So when you think of the word forecast, think about like you are forecasting or predicting what's gonna happen based on what we currently have. Okay, so that's kind of what that is. So a lot of people get really upset at science or weathermen. They're like, weathermen, they never get it right. Well, you're trying to predict the future. And so based on what is now happening, to be able to predict what's gonna happen tomorrow, not even like a 10-day forecast, that's pretty impressive. And so you'll notice that sometimes the forecast will change from one day to the next based on new information that they get. So it says, what types of information do you think meteorologists look at when making prediction? Well, they look at the things that you began to look at out there. Why is it important for us to forecast the weather? Why do we care about that? Yeah. Yeah, what you're gonna do or not, yeah.
Agriculture.
What?
Agriculture.
Agriculture, oh my gosh, yes, especially here, right? You can't plant crops if it's rainy and muddy, right? We wanna be able to kind of tell what's happening. Your hand up? No? Yeah? Yeah. All right, so the first one is air temperature. Air temperature is a measure of how hot or cold the atmosphere is. The instrument is a thermometer. How many of you know how to read a thermometer? There are a lot of people that don't. So we're going to go ahead and look at this thermometer right here. This is 0, and if this is 20, what's this middle one say? 10. And if this is 20 and this is 40, what's this middle one? 30. And so that's kind of how it does. And we're going to talk about how a thermometer works tomorrow. Don't let me forget to talk that out with you. Please push your chairs in. We're going to take this piece of paper out tomorrow, and then tomorrow I'm going to do some air demonstration. Show up tomorrow, please, for some air demos. Please wait till about okay, look. What's up with me? I don't know who is this. I was doing this whole thing.